Neil, thank you so much for that fantastic question, which once again is, do we need to have a separate toothbrush for meaty and milky? So for example, if we have a meaty supper, should we use a red toothbrush? And then a milky supper have like a blue toothbrush? Do we have to keep them separately? Do we need a kosher for Pesach toothbrush? A parav toothbrush? It's a great question. Now, as we know, from the Torah, there's a very important mitzvah not to eat meat and milk together. Now, that's on a biblical level. We're probably familiar with the idea that with regards to many of the mitzvot, especially those that concern behavior or actions that we do almost subconsciously without thinking, and like eating is top of that list. We just do it casually, without much thought, without much preparation. So with those mitzvot, Chazal, our sages, instituted a number of protective layers, just like Shrek teaches us. Ogres have layers, onions have layers, and the Torah, Judaism, has layers too. And one of those layers was instituted with regard to safeguarding and keeping a safe distance between the consumption of meat and the consumption of milk. Now, this developed and evolved in different ways in different countries. So the minhag, the custom in England, among certainly the United Synagogue, is to wait 3 hours between meat and milk. In other communities, it's 6 hours. In others, it's 5 hours and 1 minute. And in some, for example, in Holland, it's just 1 hour. Now, if this is the case, asks Neil, doesn't it not make sense that we should make sure to have separate toothbrushes, one that's put aside for meaty, or to use after a meaty meal, and another that's put aside to be used after a milky meal? Fantastic question. The short answer is no. We do not need separate toothbrushes. This is for a number of reasons, but I'll cover just two of them. The first one that's really, really important to know, because it comes up a lot when a dish accidentally gets put with the wrong dishwasher or in the wrong sink or with the wrong set of crockery. It's very important to know that sometimes there are certain mediums which ruin the taste of food. Now, toothpaste is one of those, which means that any sort of bits I've got stuck between my teeth, of meat or milky cheese, whatever it is, the toothpaste that I hopefully use when brushing my teeth ruins that food. It ruins its taste and diminishes it from having a status, a fully fledged status of food. And therefore, in that situation, the rabbinic decree of leaving a gap between meaty and milk was not applied. The second reason, which is far more common and far easier to understand, is that when our sages, Chazal, instituted their various decrees and put various measures in as safeguarding purposes in order to keep the mitzvot safe from accidentally being transgressed, they didn't do so to drive us insane. They did so within reason and within logic, and they disregarded any instances or cases where the likelihood of mixing meat and milk together would be extremely slim. And one example of that is if I've eaten a meal, probably had, washed it down with a drink, it's probably been a few hours since I ate, it's very unlikely that I would still have food stuck between my teeth, that when I then go to brush them before going to bed, there'd be any sort of issue with that mixing with some sort of milk later on, or perhaps the next day after I've eaten my breakfast, which may often include milk. So again, in situations where the likelihood of the transgression is minuscule, our sages did not apply the gezerah, the decree, and they said it's totally fine, which means we've all saved 50p, you only need one toothbrush. Good Shabbos.